Good morning. Hello, everybody. So, I'm playing with some new toys today. So, apologies if I'm a little choppy or anything. So, now I have a new program. I'm able to stream live on several places. I also am on my computer webcam now. So, I'm going to have to adjust that a little bit, but I was so excited to try it out today, so I went ahead and put that on there. So hopefully everyone can hear everything. Now, the only problem, you'll see me kind of looking around, I don't see the comments on here. So if you say something specifically to me, I have to look over at my Facebook every once in a while just to see. So hopefully this works out, and I am using my earbuds. So hello, good morning. Happy, it might take me a second to get in my rhythm with this. So good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. These earbuds are gonna fall out of my ears because I got tiny ears. So I have a new mug. My other half is a flight attendant, and he went to Croatia, to Dubrovnik, and brought me this mug. So it's lovely. So I'm having that this morning. Although the handle's a little kind of weird, I think it's more of a collector item, but that's okay. I appreciate it. So anyway, so let's see. I can't see if anybody's on there yet or not. So hopefully somebody's going to watch. Hopefully this is working. If not, well, we'll see at the end because I can't really check it. There's a delay, so I can't really see everything right away. But anyway, so I hope everyone's doing well this morning. So yesterday was a pretty eventful day. I had a couple of new listing appointments. So fingers crossed that I impress them with all my charm, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, as they say. And so I went to the garden this morning and I picked some of my sunflowers. A lot of people, when I post these, people really like them. So I thought I would bring some in because they're getting kind of heavy and drooping. So I thought, let me thin them up a little bit and bring some of them inside. I need to maybe get a little flower, whatever you call those things, wires to put in there. But there you go. So a little bit of brightness on the desk today. I thought that would be nice to bring those inside. So hopefully everyone had a good day yesterday. Sorry, I'm trying not to look over there. It's distracting. I'm just going to turn it around so that I can't get distracted. And then if people do have questions or anything, which usually you guys don't have questions, you just comment on what I'm talking about. So here we go. All right, I'm just going to act like this is like it always is so that I won't, slow down, because like I said, I'm not in my complete groove this morning because this is new, this whole new setup, and I've got several different screens going here. So I'm going to try and just focus on you, and whatever happens with the rest of it, we'll just hope it works out. So let's have a little bit more coffee. Okay, so here's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Let me just get back over to my other screen here. And so we've been talking about the Florida contract, right? The Florida purchase. So it's actually called, the actual title is Residential Contract for Sale and Purchase. So yesterday we talked a little bit about financing. If you watched, if you didn't, I always save these on my page. You can always go back and look at them. And then I try to do little snippets from it as a reel. So that way I can just get the message out, because honestly, I can tell you for 100%, when I say I'm here to help, that's what I'm here to do. Yes, I love to help you buy or sell, but if you just have questions, I had 3 people reach out to me yesterday. They're not looking to buy or sell, but they had some questions about the market. And then I also had someone in my neighborhood last night at our HOA meeting said, do you mind just coming by and having a look at my house and let me know? She said, I'm going to be up front with you. I'm probably just going to list it myself and just do a for sale by owner. But I would love your opinion. And you know what? I'd love to give my opinion. I'm here to help people. Of course, I would love for her to list it with me, and who knows, she may be so impressed with me that she decides to do so. But if she doesn't, that's okay too. I can still share it with my contacts. The thing of it is, again, I'm here to help, and the more helpful I am, you know, if you're a religious person, even if you're not a religious person, if you're a spiritual person, if you are into all of the karma and all that, I firmly believe whatever you put out in the universe is what you get back. And if you're always negative, then you're always going to get negativity. And are people easy? No, they're not. They are not easy at all. I'm a people, and sometimes I'm not easy. But for the most part, I try to put good out into the universe so that I can get good back. I don't even do it to get good back. That's just how I was raised. So I always try to put good out there in the community and the universe. And you know, I'm here to help. So that said, let's move on. Okay, so we talked about financing yesterday, and what I wanted to talk about now, I'm just kind of following this along and just helping you understand the Florida contracts a little bit better. Am I trying to get you to take my job? No, I am not. And I don't advise you do this on your own, of course, because I'm a real estate professional. I would rather you use me. However, these are things you need to know about whether you're using a realtor or not. Because, again, I've said this in several of these talks. People don't always read these contracts, guys. And some agents don't read them. So I like to do this every now and again just to familiarize myself, because I don't always every day go back and read this. I read it when there's an update and make sure I'm informed and updated and educated on what's going on. And then I read it as I need to. So every few months, I just like to go through it personally, so I make sure I haven't forgotten any key points. But I'm a pretty active agent, so I'm explaining this thing to people almost on the daily. So I'm very familiar with it. Are there things in it that confuse me from time to time? Yes, there are, because it's written in legal jargon, and we have a lawyer, an attorney on our team at Levin Rinke, and if I'm really confused, I'm like, beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Hey, Carrie Ann, I am confused about line number 122 on the Florida as is contract. Could you help me with that? And then she explains it to me in a way that I can then take it, put it around in this head of mine, and help my clients understand it. So here we go. We're going to talk about closing cost. I get this question every time we write a contract. I had a new client call yesterday and said, well, in Florida, the seller pays for this, right? So pretty much everything is negotiable on these Florida contracts. However, there are two sections on the contract that you have to make a choice. One is seller pays, two is buyer pays. Now there's a third option that's not a checkbox. You usually have to write it in if you want to do this. And the third option is buyer and seller split 50-50. I've had that happen a lot lately with the current market. Even though it is not a buyer's market, it's still a seller's market, because we're still terribly low on inventory. But we're low on inventory, but because of interest rates and the economy and everything that's been going on lately, sales have slowed. They're still happening, they're just not happening as quickly. So sellers get nervous and they're a little more willing to negotiate. So this section is called Closing Costs, Title Insurance, Survey, Home Warranty, Special Assessments. And then you have a section A, cost to be paid by seller, and a section B, cost to be paid by buyer. Now there are things that the seller has to pay. Have I ever had a contract negotiated where the buyer agreed to pay everything, including taxes and transfer fees? Yes, I have. During the COVID crazy, I only had one of these, but I had one deal, and this client wanted this house so badly, this client paid all of the seller fees, taxes, commission, transfer fee, everything. So the sellers literally, they just made their profit. They didn't have to pay anything. Now they will have to pay whatever taxes they have to pay for their income taxes, but that's completely separate from the real estate transaction. And I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so they didn't have to pay anything. The buyer paid it all. So that was great for them. They were really excited, and they thought I was the best realtor in the world for that. Now, we did end up having to give some seller credits because we had some things come back on the survey, the home inspection. But all in all, it cost them less to do that than if they would have taken one of the other contracts where they were paying commissions and everything. So anyway, let's get into this. So here it is. It is standard. It's just kind of written as standard that the seller is going to pay any documentary stamp taxes or surtax on deed, if any. So what is that? That is basically your transfer tax. You get paid, you get taxed for what you're selling the house for. It's called your doc stamps, and it's based on the sale price. So that is generally paid by the seller. Again, I have had a buyer pay it before, but the way the contract's written, the seller pays that. Then you have owner's title policy, title search charges, and municipal lien search. Those three items are negotiable. So it says if paragraph 9CI is checked, if paragraph 9C3 is checked, blah, 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 1 and 3 and whatever. Anyway, so if those are checked, then the seller pays them. If it's not checked, if the other option is checked, then the buyer pays them. So that's where it's negotiable, and that's where it's always good to review these contracts and make sure you understand them. Now, there are several title companies out there I use. I have my preferences. I always give my clients a choice. Now, depending on who's paying for it is usually who chooses it. So if the seller is paying for title, the seller generally will choose the title company. And the same goes for the buyer. If the buyer's paying it, then the buyer generally chooses it. So every state is a little different there. In North Carolina, when I was there, the seller and the buyer could have completely different attorneys, because in North Carolina we use attorneys, not title companies. So that whenever that would happen and they would choose different ones, it was a nightmare, because you're now communicating with two different offices and you're trying to coordinate everything to happen on the same day so the buyer can get their keys. Well, here in Florida, we use one title company, thank goodness, so everybody goes to the same one, but depending on who's paying for it is who chooses it. So the main point I want to get across with you here is in the state of Florida, these things are negotiable. Generally, the seller pays their own taxes, any HOA fees and estoppel fees. Generally, the seller pays that unless it's negotiated that the buyer is going to pay it. On this particular one I'm looking at, there's a section that's called Other. And I've seen agents do it different ways. They will say see additional because there's an additional term section, or they just write in here. Like on this one, the agent wrote in split title 50-50. So what happens then is each side pays what they're required to pay, and all that negotiable stuff in the middle, they split 50-50. So I'm seeing that a lot on contracts right now. And, I try really hard to make sure I make these things relatable to you so you can understand what it actually means for you. And what that means is when you get to this part, what that means for you is that it's negotiable. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, you can negotiate this. No one party has all the cards in their hands unless you really want that house and you don't want anybody else to get it. You better keep that a secret. Don't let that seller know that, because I can guarantee you, if I'm that seller's agent and your agent lets me know how desperately you want this house, we're going to use that to our advantage. It's just common negotiation techniques. So I always tell people, don't get too excited until you get the keys, because anything can happen, but you definitely don't want to get too excited while you're making offers. I learned that the hard way before I was in real estate, because I get very excited, y'all. Okay, so then some things that are usually on the buyer that people often forget about is the buyer pays the appraisal fee. The buyer pays any of their loan expenses. The buyer pays any of the legal fees associated with their part of the loan. They pay for the insurance premiums. And then they also pay for any survey that's required, home inspections, all of that is paid by the buyer in the state of Florida. Again, unless it's negotiated otherwise. Now, even in the crazy COVID time, I rarely saw, well, it would be flipped because if it was a buyer's market, but I've never had a contract so far that the seller agreed to pay for any of the buyer inspections. Now, some states it's on the seller, not in Florida. It's on the buyer. It's up to the buyer to do their own inspections, and they pay for all of those. So that is the section on closing costs. And what I talk about those, generally the appraisal and the inspections and the survey, generally all those are paid before closing. Occasionally you will pay them at closing. So it's always good to know who's paying those. And in the state of Florida, it is the buyer. Now, if a seller has a good survey, they're changing the rules a little bit, so I don't want to muddy the water and try to tell you how long they're good for. But what we do is we get the survey from the seller if they have it, and we send it over to the title company, and they review it, and they will let us know if it's a good survey or if we need to have a new one or an updated one. So some rules are going to change on that, and I'll be sure to communicate those when they do. But anyway, so that is Section 9 on closing cost, title, insurance, survey, home warranty, and special assessments. So that's how the costs are split up in a nutshell, and what is negotiable and what is not. And again, pretty much everything's negotiable as long as it's within the legal limits of the law. I'm going to check real quick and see if anybody made any comments. I don't see any, so maybe nobody's on here today. Hopefully you guys can see that I'm live. I don't want to send myself stars. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to my phone now and making sure I didn't miss any comments. So hopefully some people get on there. Hold that thought. Oh, there they are. I see you guys now. Randy's there. Hey, Randy, good to see you, man. Oh, good, it worked. The notification, that's good. Okay, let me close that. Did my speakers click back over? I hope they did. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm really excited about this new program. Look, I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to try it without these, because you notice I'm fiddling with my ears because my ears are tiny and they keep falling out. Not my ears, the earbuds keep falling out. Anyway, so y'all have a good day. I am going to, it is 6:43, so I'm gonna, I've already been out in my garden and I have watered things. I've got a lot of tomato. It's so funny, I must have planted a bunch of the yellow tomatoes because that's everything that's going ripe or ripening right now is yellow. My corn did not turn out so well. I'm not going to pull it up because a few of them seem like they're still growing, but they're brown. I don't think they're supposed to be that color. So anyway, but so I've got some things to do today, work on these new listings, and then that's pretty much about it. Got to take Mom to the doctor today. Eugene came home, so I'm going to probably get distracted this afternoon running around town after we take Mom to the doctor. But if you need me, I'll be around. Just give me a call. I do have an open house coming up this weekend on 11th Avenue if anybody's in town and interested. If you're a broker or an agent watching this, we are doing a Pensacola Blue Ribbon Tour on Thursday, and I'm going to have the house open for that. I'm going to go get some kind of fancy treats for people. I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but I'll figure that out between today and today because it's tomorrow. So anyway, y'all have a great day. If you need me, please do call me. I hope to see you around town. I don't know what's going on this weekend, but we'll talk about it later in the week. So thanks so much for joining, and thanks for being patient with me today while I kind of find my groove with this new setup. Hopefully each day will be a little easier and a little better for me, and hopefully I didn't look like this too much today. So have a great day, and again, if you need me, call me. If you know anyone who needs me, please give them my information. I love to help out. Matter of fact, one of the listing appointments I had yesterday was actually a referral from another agent in another state. So I'm always happy to help out. And with that said, have a great day. Get out there, do something fun. Always remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be you. And I will see you tomorrow.